Our next guest is out with a new book. It's called Why Did I Come Into This Room? It's a candid conversation, and a funny one too, about aging.
Joan Lunden, welcome back to the show.
It's so nice to be with you, Scott. I know it's happening to you if you're laughing.
No,
But you know what? When we're in our 20s and we walk in and we can't remember where we put something, we don't think anything of it. But boy, if you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, you immediately think, uh-oh, is this the beginning of something bad? And by the way, it's usually not. It's just kind of one of those symptoms of aging.
What gave you the impetus to write the book, Joan? I mean, so many people, we're all getting there, but you decided to make it a humorous but yet insightful book.
Well, when you're writing about leaky bladders, you better be humorous. In fact, sometimes I would be writing a story and my husband would come in and she'd say, "What are you working on now?" And I'd tell him, he said, "You can't say that." I said, "Oh, yes, I can. And I am." Because that's how you kind of bond with people, that they say, "Oh my God, the same things happen to her that are happening to me." I remember when I wrote one of my first books, healthy cooking, healthy living, growing up healthy. And it was a bestseller. So the publisher comes back and says, "Write another book." And I remember looking at my book agent at the time and I said, "After I finish a book, I feel like I've squeezed every thought out of my brain. I have nothing else to say. But also, what am I going to write about?" And he said, "You will always write about that which you want to know more about." And it's so true. And when I left Good Morning America, I wrote about change and dealing with change. When I went through a cancer battle, I wrote Had I Known and shared my cancer journey. So now all of a sudden I came to this point and said, all right, so what do I want to write about now? What am I going through? Aging. And there's such a huge population of people in America, boomers, 79 million of us. And one of them turns 65 every 8 seconds.
Oh my God.
That's 10,000 a day. So you can just hear that and you can see how the demographics of our nation are just changing drastically right before our eyes. And within this decade, we're going to have a time, for the first time in history, where there are far more people over 65 than kids under 18.
Wow.
So, and yet, a lot of these, we experience, Karen and me and every other woman, we experience the aging of our bodies differently than men, Scott, because we have estrogen. And as that starts to deplete, a whole cascade of symptoms happens to us. And yet we don't talk about them. Somehow they're like taboo subjects. And consequently, I think women experience them alone. And therefore they think, uh-oh, what's wrong with me? I'm getting old. Like, where did my waist go? I swear to God, I didn't eat that many Tostitos last year. And they kind of feel like they're broken and less appealing or less sexy. And I wanted to throw all this out on the table so that every woman said, oh my gosh, all right, so these are just things that happen to every woman, and let's talk about them, because there are fixes for a lot.
Joan, I also think what's great is that rather than the humor's great, but it's also some optimism. You and I have something in common. You say you're a Deepak Chopra devotee, and I love him too. He's on the show all the time. And you read his book, which now I want to get, Angel's Body, Timeless Mind, and recall that he said, people don't grow old. People get old when they stop growing. And you've decided to get excited about what comes with growing old rather than lamenting it.
Yeah. Well, because if you know what's coming and you know that it's nothing wrong with you, it's just natural aging, and that there are things that you can do, little lifestyle changes and sometimes medical procedures that can help make it, be a little bit more acceptable, that empowers you. That empowers you as a woman. And, I started the book, I divided it into mind, body, and soul. And I started the book with the whole concept of age. And because I had gone on this trip with my kids to Morocco and met this woman out in the Sahara Desert who had no idea how old she was, because, they're born in the desert. There's no birth certificate. There's no calendars, no TV. They go by the sun and the moon. I got back in the car and said, wow, how freeing would that be to actually not know how old you are?
Joan,
and so that's kind of one of the reasons why I came up with the whole concept. It was fun to write.
We have to go, but we want you back on the show as a weekly guest.
Sure.
So sign up.
Come and fill in when Scott's gone. Well, we love having you, and we want everyone to know the book, Why Did I Come Into This Room? You can find it everywhere. Joan Lunden, always great to be with you. You're such a pro. We love you. Thank you.